It's Press Pass with Jack Ebling, Mid-Michigan's spirited sports debate. Now let's get talking sports. Here's Jack.
Great evening, Mid-Michigan and beyond, and welcome to a football first playoff edition of Press Pass on Fox 47. The Indiana Hoosiers are one night away from a chance to win the most improbable championship of my long lifetime. The new bullies of the Sig 10 will meet Miami, one of the most storied programs in the last 45 years, in Miami Gardens, Florida. It was another big week for Michigan State football coach Pat Fitzgerald, who seems to be everywhere at the same time. Meanwhile, the Spartans had terrific success in men's and women's basketball and hockey. Heading into tonight's women's hoops game at Iowa, MSU had 50 wins in those three winter sports. And we saw some unbelievable things this weekend in the NFL divisional playoffs by players and officials alike. Here to talk about all that and more is Team 642, two guys who love college football as much as Hoosier fans love Curt Cignetti. Rico Beard, longtime Detroit radio and TV personality, MSU insider, and co-host of the Valenti Show with Rico on 97.1 The Ticket. Rico, how sad are you that your Niners are out?
Jack, it was a mercy killing. They were running out of bodies. It hurt me, but it felt good that it was over quickly. I went through the 5 stages of grief by the end of the first quarter.
Too many injuries.
Way
George
too
Kittle
many.
go out. I said, well, that's that. Also back to talk college football and much, much more. Mike Griffith, the unelected mayor of Mason, past president of the Pro Football Writers Association of America, and a bulldog in every way, now covering Georgia football for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Mike, you've seen a lot of national championship games. You excited about this one?
Yeah, it's intriguing for sure. Miami's playing on their home field, but it's the Indiana quarterback's hometown, and Indiana's looked unbeatable, and Miami's looked great at times and not so great at times. So it's a curiosity to be sure. Indiana, though, definitely the favorite.
How much stock do you put in those comparative scores, both teams beating Ohio State?
Rico?
I think Indiana's just that team, Jack. I think they're going to be one of those special teams, and they'll go undefeated.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen, we'll be back to talk about that and much, much more coming up here on Press Pass. Back to Press Pass on Fox 47. It's time for Just North of Amazing, brought to you by One North Kitchen and Bar in Jackson, Lansing, and East Lansing. Welcome to a world of great flavors and a great place to have fun. Do your taste buds a favor and stop at any One North for a wonderful time. They'd love to see your smiling face.
3 receivers bunch to the left. Becca's looking that way. And still looking. Takes off running. Carson Beck with his legs. Puts Miami on top. What a drive.
First of all, thank you guys for having me on. This is the 3rd week we're doing this for the playoffs, so hopefully the 3rd time's a charm. And, we cap another week off 1-0. And like you said, this game means a lot to myself. We're playing at the University of Miami, in Miami, and so there could be a lot of emotions. However, my perspective has always been to widen it and realize how much this means to all of my teammates, all of my coaches, and not just myself. It means so much national championship game that I am doing everything possible for preparation because I owe it to my teammates, my coaches, and Hoosier Nation.
You see Carson Beck in a fantastic 4th quarter and a big win over Mississippi in the semifinals, and Fernando Mendoza, and he is America's darling now as a Heisman Trophy winner.
Kirk Cousins
Rico, how
Jr.
do you explain Sig Magic with what had been until this year the worst program in Division I history?
Jack, it's hard to explain. I think it's going to be about over 100 college football coaches trying to replicate what he did, trying to do a deep dive. I don't know how he flipped it. I mean, he brought a lot of guys from James Madison. He's got an older team. But to take it, it was almost like he played, the college football video game and just took the worst team and made it the best team and is about to win a national title with that.
Mike, Mario Cristobal won a title as a Hurricanes player. How has he channeled the swagger of the U and brought Miami back?
Well, they got big. I mean, they might have the best line of scrimmage in college football, probably do. They'll rely on that. He used the portal wisely. Last year with the number 1 overall pick at quarterback, this year with Carson Beck, a battle-tested veteran. So, starts at the line of scrimmage. Miami's elite there. And then obviously, he's done really well recruiting quarterbacks. And South Florida's got a lot of talent, and you're seeing some of that talent come through. And as Miami's put it back together for a championship run.
Rico, when did you know what Heisman Mendoza and this IU team capable of doing? When I saw that 63-10 win over a ranked Illinois team, I said, whoa.
Nah, because I always thought Illinois was frauds, Jack. When they went into Alston Stadium on October 11th and they beat Oregon, a place where teams go to die. Nobody goes to Oregon and beats Oregon, and they did. And don't that score, it wasn't even that close.
Mike, you covered Carson Beck at Georgia. Could he have led the Bulldogs or another team to this national championship game, or is this a perfect fit?
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, he could have done it at Georgia if there would have been a 12-team playoff. They won, 29 games in a row, and they lost to Alabama by a field goal and just the playoff that year. So, yeah, I mean, Carson's played at a championship level before, but, like any other quarterback, he's only as good as the guys around him, and you got to look at what he's asked to do. And, same thing with Mendoza. Do I think Mendoza could have done this at Michigan State? No, I think he would look pretty ordinary. Right. But he's surrounded by a team that runs the ball well, and all he's got to do is not turn it over. I know that sounds easier than it is, but let's see what happens if he's challenged to do more than manage the offense.
Rico, you said you liked Indiana 10 out of 10 matchups with Miami, but IU hasn't faced a team with an edge rush like the Hurricanes. What happens if they put the pressure on? You see a nation-leading 47 sacks, which, by the way, was Michael Irvin's Miami number.
Oh, please don't bring him into this conversation. I would say this, Jack, if they could actually bring the pressure and get to Mendoza, it would be a first. And I think that's how Miami could beat Indiana, because Indiana's cruised this entire year. That they really face. The only adversity was just themselves and maybe the weather. Other than that, nobody's come close to them. So if Miami could do that, they got a strong chance of pulling off an upset.
Mike, you covered the Tennessee Volunteers in '98 when T. Martin and company won the first official college football championship. And there you see all of the starting quarterbacks. Since then, what stands out to you about that list? There's an awful lot of crimson there.
Well, there is. Of late, it's an awful lot of transfers. And this year as well, there's going to be a transfer quarterback. You think about Joe Burrow and what he was able to do. And, the fact what Notre Dame was in that game last year as well. And Riley Leonard, of course, the national championship quarterback for Ohio State, was a transfer. Just the way the game's changed, Jack. I mean, now I think you want a little bit more mobility at the quarterback position than maybe, some of these other years. But for the most part, it's the transfers, the kind of note to me that's in championship games.
And Carson Beck was as heralded as anyone coming out of high school, but Fernando Mendoza, a 2-star, and that's only because he got a late scholarship offer from Cal, would have been a 0-star, just like Trinidad Chambliss. So it shows that there's some development here, and what guys are at 17 or 18 aren't necessarily what they're going to be at 23 or 24, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, I think about you as a sports writer in your 40s, and now look at you in the broadcasting profession. Who would have guessed that you'd turn into a on video camera star? But to your point,
it's called media mogul, Mike.
Media mogul. Thank you, Rico. But to your point, Mendoza was a pretty hot commodity in the portal. Georgia actually was the other team that was going for Mendoza and lost out on him. So a couple years ago, Georgia wanted Caleb Williams. They lost out on him too, but they won another national title anyway. No, it says a lot for Mendoza. But again, so much of Indiana is systemic, and I'm just not completely convinced. And I know Rico's seen a lot of Indiana, and he was correct. The way they were able to just absolutely destroy Alabama. Alabama's kind of coming apart at the seams, but I think Miami's going to challenge him in a different way, and we'll see what he does.
We'll be right back. We'll take a look at Michigan State football up next on Press Pass.
Fine.
Welcome back to Press Pass here on Fox 47. It's time for our Going Green segment, brought to you by Graff Chevrolet and Graff Nissan on West Grand River in Okemos. With 108 years in the automobile business, they'll take great care of you, as they have on all 8 of my leases and purchases. For new or used vehicles or great service, go green, go Graff.
Everybody good? Everybody good? All right, make sure you got something to write with, got your pens ready. All right, gonna go over some standards, expectations. It's kind of how we're gonna move forward as Spartan men and Spartan program. Right now, we are in a storm. As you build a team, you build a program, you build a family. There's storming, and then it norms, and then you form. Okay, you with me? Storm. We don't know each other. We don't know each other's names. We don't know each other's backgrounds. In the meeting rooms on the right side says brotherhood. Doesn't it? That is earned by building genuine relationships with each other. By giving of yourself for the greater good of the brother to your left, right, front, back. This is a rebirth, not a rebuild. So how are we gonna do that? We have to grind every minute of every day. And then when they ask us at this time next year, what happened? How did this happen? Wow, what a turnaround. None of us in this room will be surprised. Because we will be the ones that did it for each other.
Pat Fitzgerald knows a little bit about that, building a program, and he was there as a College Football Hall of Famer when Northwestern won back-to-back championships. And I bet Steve Grinzelli said he could have my house if they ever did that. He didn't want it. Mike, does MSU's tradition from Doherty to D'Antonio really matter in 2026?
I mean, you'd like to think that there's a foundation of being a Michigan State player, of understanding the dynamic of the school and where you're at and who you compete against. You hope for that Spartan chip on the shoulder mentality. It sounds like Fitzgerald's already bringing that. I think it helps when you've got former players on your staff. And I know we're going to talk about that, but I think there's a mentality there, an underdog mentality that most Spartans play with, work with, live with. You know, it's part of being an alumni of that school.
Rico, what's your take on Fitz's first MSU staff, and how important were those hires, a lot of them with a Midwest flair?
I mean, I think it's very important. He some of the guys that he retained just so he can keep some continuity, and then he went out there. And I mean, when I look at LeVar Woods, that was probably the biggest pickup that I think, going out and getting a coach, special teams guy from Iowa. Iowa special teams are always just a lights out, Jack. And bringing back Max Buller. And to add to what Mike just said, I think you need Max Buller because I don't think that they know much about Spartan tradition. When you have Fitz saying we don't know each other, it was almost like Denzel Washington and Remember the Titans, where it's like, okay, I want everybody to sit with somebody new at lunch every day and learn something from these guys. When Buller has to give a TED talk of why you hate Michigan, that's problematic.
Mike, you're a big admirer of Max, the prodigal son, linebackers coach, and captain of the Rose Bowl team. Let's all feel his passion.
The first thing I want to say to you guys is we don't take a backseat to anybody. You understand me? You want to write something down, write that down. Not today, not tomorrow, nobody. It was because of our preparation from right now until whatever competition is next for us. It ain't about motivation, it's about discipline. It's about doing what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it. It's not about posting on Instagram, it's not about likes, it's not about wanting people to like you. It ain't about that. Because if it's about that, that's shallow, that breaks when it matters. It's doing it as hard as you can every time. It's gonna suck. It's hard. It's supposed to be hard. You want it to be hard. But those are the days that make it matter. Those are the days that count. That's the stage that we're at. But at the end of the day, after the process is done over and over and over and over and over again, it's the confidence in the late moments in the game. Unwavering confidence. Sudden change, good. You got the ball in the 20, you getting 3, maybe. Okay, at the end of the day, guys, we got to be willing to give, all of us in this room. we got to be willing to give ourselves to Michigan State. Let's invest in what we have in this room and with these people and see what the hell can happen.
Mike, why was it so important that Fitz brought Max back here from Notre Dame?
Well, Max was at the heart of the Rose Bowl run. Max understood the narrative and understood what it was going to take to change the narrative. And I think you felt a little bit of that passion right there when he talks about embracing adversity. That's a part of the job. And that's what those Michigan State teams did so well under Mark D'Antonio, was understanding the adversity, embracing the adversity, and matching the intensity. So that's why every haymaker that Michigan threw, whether it was banners over the stadium or stakes being planted at midfield, it was almost like a kung fu effect. You bring it at Michigan State, they're bringing it back, and then some at you. They embrace that mentality. And Max, I'm sure, learned a lot at Notre Dame as well, because I saw what that Notre Dame defense did to a very good Georgia team in last year's Sugar Bowl.
Yeah. Rico, among the 27 or so Spartan Portal additions is Kenneth Williams, Detroit native who walked on at Nebraska and became an incredible kickoff returner this year. One for a touchdown, another for 90-plus yards. Could he give Michigan State some of what Keyshawn Martin did more than a decade ago?
You know what, Jack? It's funny because I just had a conversation about him right before the taping of this show with a buddy of mine. Yes, you need, especially when you have a team like this, you got to win in all three phases. You got to steal yards wherever you can. And if you have somebody who can flip the field from you, I mean, think about it. It wasn't in big games, but like Amari Cooper had some big runs last year. But if you can go back to, I think Jaden Reed maybe was the last kickoff punt returner that actually, scored off a touchdown. I remember the Nebraska game we had, and he had to walk off, I believe. Oh no, it was Wisconsin. He had to walk off. So you want to just be able to go out there and get some yardage wherever you can to help this offense out so that you're starting at the 50.
Yeah. The Charlotte Spartan schedule looks a little easier than this year's, but still a lot of work to be done. We'll be right back, and we'll look at basketball. Back to Press Pass here on Fox 47. It's time for our Lansing's Best segment, brought to you by the Lansing Sports Commission. Bring thousands of athletes and teams to mid-Michigan for hundreds of tournaments and special events. Hats off to the LSC for showing just what this area can be. Plan on something greater.
Ball from the corner. Rebound run down by Ward. Now to Wojcik, cross court. Tang, can he get another one? He does! He got it!
He can heat up, and it was interesting. Peterson defender went right at him and not curved Tang with no fear. Beers, the lob, there it is! Cohen Carr levitates.
Crazy. Run out and wave to him, guys, and then let's take a shower. Yeah. Go. Yeah. Free flight, 55.
Kurt Tang from deep, Cohen Carr from on high, and for the first time in Tom Izzo's 31 seasons, he sent his players back out of the locker room to meet with visiting fans who made the trip or somehow got to the arena there in Seattle to cheer their team on. Rico, what surprised you about the Spartans? What impressed you yesterday? They certainly weren't sleepy in Seattle.
I just think, Jack, what impressed me the most was watching Fears. Fears is getting better and better each game. Yeah. But they went out there and they dominated a Husky team. They were only favored by 2.5 points before the game. Yeah. And Jackson Kohler probably played the worst game he's ever played this season, and it didn't affect this team. They went out there, it was a collective effort, and they got the job done. And I understand why they went back out there, because all you heard was go green, go white throughout the crowd. I think everybody in Washington was at the Seahawks game.
Mike, when you look at what Michigan State can do and squeezing an opponent with defense and depth, this team is pretty tough in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Indiana found that out earlier in the week when they had that 19-0 run, Jack. I mean, it's a typical Michigan State team. You got to like it. I'm a little surprised they're not a little higher in the net rankings when you look at they've already got 5 quad 1 wins. But look, we know that with Tom Izzo, it doesn't matter where they're ranked in the regular season. It doesn't really matter where they finish in the Big Ten. This guy puts teams together. I saw a machine-like team last year that I thought lacked the talent to get as far as they got. Yeah. I was kind of surprised to see how far Tom took that team, but the precision that those guys play with, the way they rebound, the way they play together, boy, it's beautiful music. And I'm just one of these guys that's appreciating every year that Tom Izzo is still coaching, because we know it's not going to last forever.
Guys, let's take a look at Tuesday night's hero against Indiana, a point guard who can lead his team in points, maybe finish second in the nation in assists.
All in all, I thought that was one of Jeremy's best games. The better he plays, I think the better we play.
Fears in the paint, spins, banks, and
Fears is so good at that little runner.
Fears on the move, shot off the glass.
Change of pace is major league from Jeremy Fears. In the open floor, this guy is electric. He pushes as well as anybody in this league.
He may go all the way with this thing, and he does!
And there's the career high, 23 points.
Rico, how did the Spartans go from a tie at 53 to lead 81-55? That's a 28-2 spurt.
Jack, I was wondering that myself. I was like, wait, wasn't this game just tied? And it was tied because Indiana got a steal and the guy went down and dunked, and that was it.
Yeah.
They just went out there and they scored. They were hitting threes. I mean, whether it was Kurtang, whether it was not Ward, but Scott hitting some three. Like, they just went out there and played team ball. And then once again, you look at Jeremy Fears distributing the ball and just making the baskets and getting the thing done.
Yeah.
And Indiana was a little shell-shocked.
Mike, the Hoosiers were stuck on 53 for what seemed like forever and finished with 3 fewer points than the IU football team had against Illinois. What do you make of that defense in the second half?
I was going to say Indiana's a football school now, Jack, but
that's right.
Back to Fears, I remember watching his brother Jeremiah.
Yeah,
you see that same level of explosiveness, and if he can light it, if he can continue to light it up like that, how exciting. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's still hard for me to wrap my brain around Indiana being a football school, and it doesn't seem like it was so long ago that Tom Crean was winning a couple Big Ten titles for the Hoosiers.
That's right.
But hey, it's early in the basketball season, and I've made this point too. I'm gonna kind of go off schedule for you here a little bit. A lot of people are asking me what's happened to SEC football, and that they haven't won a title for 3 years. And I remind them, the Big Ten, which I believe is the best basketball league in the country, has not won a national championship since 2001. It's a playoff sport now, much like
2000.
2000.
Thank you. 26 years. Is that not hard to believe? And yet I would still tell you, I think the Big Ten is arguably the best basketball conference in the country year in and year out.
Good point.
The Big Ten's had all kinds of teams close in the championship game. Rico, the SEC can't even get in the championship game, but I won't go there. Rico, taking a look at MSU's 20-game Big Ten schedule, very possible that they can be 9-1 when they face Michigan. What happens after that?
Jack, I think you're going to have a tough test going to the Kohl Center at Wisconsin. Wisconsin is always difficult to play there. At Purdue is another place that's just a house of horrors for pretty much every team. Yeah. And then it's going to boil down to Michigan Senior Day. It's going to be interesting to see what they do at Chrysler and how many fans show up for that.
Yeah, well, we shall see. They got 5 teams now that could all have a chance to win it, including Illinois. And don't sleep on Nebraska. We'll be right back looking at women's basketball.
Fine.
Welcome back to Press Pass here on Fox 47. It's time for the big picture, brought to you by Dean Transportation. Dean is hiring caring and dependable people as school bus drivers in many Michigan markets. Be a hero in your community and safely transport children to and from school with Dean. For more information and to apply, visit deantransportation.com/jobs. That's deantransportation.com/jobs.
And there's Blair. Another deflection. No looker inside Van Sluten. And Kennedy Blair, what do you say? Is a redshirt freshman, then gets a scholarship. And hey.
Front, this is Tassie. Simon Tassie, shot, save. Rebound, Osborne, save again. Unbelievable.
Kennedy Blair and Trey Augustine with big plays there. Great week for Michigan State women's basketball and hockey. Rico, what does it say when Robin Freilic's team can play less than its best, be 2 for 16 from deep, and then hit the 3 it needed, a couple of clutch free throws, and get a win over Nemesis, Nebraska?
Tells me that Robin Freilich is building a program here at Michigan State that she can get her young ladies to go out there and play together and overcome the adversities. And it's very impressive when you see what they're doing. And I think they have one loss so far this year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's impressive that she is building something that, hey, you know what? Let's see what happens now. Go out into the tournament and really make a statement.
Yeah, and if you look at the way that score went, it could have gone either way down to the final 1.4 seconds. Mike, MSU played in the women's national championship 21 years ago, losing to Baylor. But here you see they've never been 17-1 before in school history. What's that say?
Well, it says a lot, especially when you look at who they played. We were talking about those net rankings, which is what the committee uses during the selection process. Spartan's number 7 in the country, undefeated in these quad 1 games. I mean, it is coaching, and coaching is what makes the difference in those games that are 1 and 2 possessions. And when you've got a team that believes, you heard Max Bulla talking a little bit about that earlier in the show, about the confidence that you have when you pull together and you've drilled it. Clearly, this is a well-drilled team, and they've given themselves a chance to make tournament runs. What I wonder about is, frankly, NIL money. Is this a coach that you're going to spend money to keep? Are you going to continue to pay for players?
It all comes back to the money, doesn't it?
It always does.
Yeah.
A pretty nice donation lately. It's going to help Michigan State NIL sports, I'd say.
Rico, Big Ten women's basketball, just as competitive as the men's. And if you look at the standings, you see how many teams at the top. Michigan State with a very difficult challenge tonight in Iowa City as we're taping this. Spartans an underdog in that game. But there are a lot of teams that could still be there, and maybe 11 or 12 that could make the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I think the top dog in the conference is still going to be UCLA. So, USC minus Juju hurts them. But, yeah, you're looking at what UCLA is doing. I think Michigan State, it'll be competitive, Jack. And even if not, what's going to be fun to watch is the Big Ten women's tournament.
Yeah, will be. Mike, Spartan hockey hit the road this week and got a pair of impressive wins in Madison. There you see the Thursday night score. How important was it to get that payback sweep of the number 2 Badgers after Wisconsin had beaten Michigan State twice by 1 goal in the games here at Mon Ice Arena?
Yeah, it's a brand that travels. You like to see that. You like to see the upside. You don't pay much attention to the rankings again. You want to see what these teams do at the end of the year. But, gosh, Jack, Michigan State hockey, you go back to Ron Mason days. Yeah. It's amazing, how competitive and the support that those guys get. But obviously this is an invested program. And more than anything, I'd say in the sport of hockey, you need to have that chemistry amongst one another.
Rico, MSU did not let up Friday night. They talk about how difficult it is to sweep on the road, but getting 4 goals again, plus great play in goal from Augustine. Now they're right back in the race.
They are, Jack, and especially you'd like to see Augustine out there just being that stopper, being that, that rock that nothing's going to get past him. He keeps playing like this, and this is a team that can go all the way.
Mike, taking a look at the Big Ten hockey standings, and you got 3 teams up there. Actually, Penn State moving into second place, but most people think it's going to be Michigan, Michigan State, and maybe Wisconsin. You see how close that's going to be all the way. These teams will be shuffling all the way through the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, obviously Michigan's got something special going there at Yost Arena. and you give the Wolverines a lot of credit, but like Rico said, you just feel like that if Michigan State continues to play like the way they're playing, they're peaking at the right time this season.
Michigan losing its goaltender, Jack Ivan Kovic, with an injury too. So that's going to be big as well. We will be right back. We'll look at the NFL and the divisional round of the playoffs up next on Press Pass.
Press Pass on Fox 47. It's time for our Law of the Jungle segment, brought to you by Graywall Law. With more than 100 years of combined legal experience, Graywall Law, PLLC, delivers expert guidance and trusted advocacy. Their skilled team is committed to justice, offering compassionate, results-driven representation. That's Graywall Law, a great choice for professionalism, dedication, and proven success.
Rashid Shaheed. With the steam, Shaheed breaks through. Still going. A flag flies. Shaheed's going to take it all the way. Let's see if it stands. It's a 95-yard return if it holds to start the game. Here's Walker, cuts back. Kenneth Walker is in. Touchdown, Seahawks. On first down, Kenneth Walker again to the left. Sprinted through. Walker's got another. Touchdown, Seattle. Walker looking for the trifecta. He's got it. Touchdown, Seahawks.
I know as a Michigan State guy, we could have used you at Michigan all those years.
I appreciate you, brother. Go green.
Go blue.
There you see Rashid Shaheed from 95. And 13 seconds in, Seattle had all the points it needed to win that game. And you see K9 with 3 scores. We saw him get 5 against Michigan and Tom Brady's team. Pretty impressive stuff. Rico, what did you learn about your Niners and Seattle yesterday, besides tough to play a team like Seattle shorthanded?
I mean, as far as the Niners goes, Jack, it was house money. They were out there winning. Beating the Eagles was probably the highest it was going to get. They just ran out of bodies. I mean, when CMC got dinged up during the game, I think that was the final straw. That Seattle team, that defense looks like they have 14 people on the field at all times. They are relentless. And look, Sam Darnold doesn't have to be this world beater. Sam, just don't turn the ball over, punt the ball, and let the defense do their job.
When did you know San Francisco could not come back the way it did against Detroit 2 years earlier?
I think K9's second touchdown. I was like, that's it right there. They're done. So yeah.
Guys, let's take a look at one of the most criticized calls in NFL history.
They blocked it up perfectly. McMillan does a good job not getting. But we're going to need you on this one, Gene.
Yeah, this is really close. I'm not sure that Cooks has possession coming to the ground there to say that it would be simultaneous. It feels to me like Cooks doesn't have firm possession of the football when they're down by contact there.
Wow, that is close. I mean, reaches up, has it for a moment, and then as they roll over.
I still think that's a catch, but I guess I don't understand that rule. Mike, did Denver win this game? It had 100 fewer yards of offense, or did Buffalo lose it with 5 turnovers, 4 by the mighty Josh Allen?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not a big believer in the whole, they lost it thing. I think you got to give the defense a lot of credit. This Denver defense has done it all year.
Yeah.
They got a Hall of Fame coach, arguably the best coach in the NFL. I mean, you don't turn an NFL team around like that without a great coach that changes the culture. And it's not like Bo Nix is, the greatest quarterback in the NFL, and they just find ways to win. And you got to give Denver credit. As far as that call goes, I'm with you. It's hard not to say there wasn't a simultaneous something. Did either one of them have possession of the ball? That's the argument. Did Cooks ever really have it? I like the way it's called, whether it's right or wrong. I want the guy that comes up with the ball. I think that team should have the possession. I don't know how you write that. I understand the guy goes to the offense, but it's just a great play by the Denver secondary. I don't want to get too caught up in it, but one thing I did want to mention, Mike McDonald, a guy that was at Michigan for a year. I saw Michigan play Georgia in the Orange Bowl, and they pretty much destroyed the guy. But I didn't realize this. The guy actually started his high school coaching career here in Athens. He's a Georgia guy, and I bet you either Georgia or Michigan wishes they had him on staff right now. But he's done amazing things with the Seattle Seahawks. You got to say this guy is an absolute rock star, rising star.
Rico, I want to take a look at the Bills' playoff exits here. And so many heartbreaks. Josh Allen isn't getting any younger.
He's not, Jack, and this was his year. I mean, if it was not going to happen this year, then I don't think it's going to happen. There was no Mahomes. There was no Burrow. There was no Lamar. It was a bunch of young guys in their second year. This was your time to get it done, and he went out there and turned the ball over so many times that it never should have came down to that interception. Well, I thought it was a catch, but it never should have came down to that play. He didn't get the job done, Jack.
Yeah, 5 turnovers.
Mike, how do you explain the Broncos' brilliance in these one-score games? They're now 12-2. In these games. Amazing. You see New England also big win today, handling Houston. And handled the elements better than the Texans did. But what do you make of Denver's ability to win these close games?
Well, as I said, it goes back to coaching and some pillars, the ability to stop the run. Broncos really good against the run game. I mean, James Cook went for over 100 yards, but he also fumbled one of those 5 turnovers. Their ability to force turnovers, their ability to force teams to pass, high percentage football, but there's a mentality there, Jack. It goes beyond that. They're playing beyond their talent level. Right now, I don't know if anybody beats Seattle the way they're playing. Who knows? We'll see. It can change from week to week. But I just think Sean Payton's a hell of a coach.
I mean, he is, but unfortunately, a little football karma kicked in when Bo Nix was, fractured his ankle. So Jarrett Stidham, here we come.
Yeah, I know about
for Jarrett Stidham.
Yeah, well, you don't rely on your quarterback a lot, but to Rico's point, what comes around goes around a little bit there. But it's a physical, violent football team. I wouldn't bet against them. That was a really ugly football game between New England and Houston. Neither one of those teams look like they belong there. I don't know how much of that's the elements. I don't know if Drake May's really ready for the moment. But to your point, I'm going to go with the coach, and I think coaching is bigger than ever now in the NFL and in the collegiate ranks.
His play calling and strategy was a cut above again yesterday. I remember his famous onside kick to start the second half of the Super Bowl for New Orleans. And we've got a game tonight, gentlemen, as we're taping this show with the Rams and the Bears. Pretty even game. What do we have now, Rico?
It's 10-10, Jack, with about 9 minutes left in the game. So this is going to come down to probably the Bears.
We'll be right back with our weekly awards up next.
Belongings.
Press Pass on Fox 47. It's time for our Cool and Smooth segment, brought to you by Coors Light. Cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold packaged for a smoother finish and a crisp, refreshing taste. Coors Light is the official light beer of Michigan State Athletics, so crack one open and take a sip. Coors Light. Choose chill.
We got 75,000. There's one in every seat. And they came here to see Hurricane football. Oh, yeah. Get after them on offense. Make sure it's a complete ball game today. A complete ball game from the very first whistle. Offense, defense, the kicking game. Let's go like a bunch of crazy men and play some games. Oh, yeah.
Miami will need that attitude tomorrow night, but you think back to one of the greatest runs in college football history, Howard Schnellenberger, of course, Jimmy Johnson, Dennis Erickson, Larry Coker, and I think the early 2000s Miami teams, 2001, might rank right up there with 2019 LSU and the Georgia team you covered, Mike, as the best of the 21st century. All right. Team 642, who has been as cool and smooth as a Choose Chill Coors Light this week. Rico Beard, let's start with you and our play of the week. What do you have?
Jack, I think there's 2 plays. One is Jeremy Fears against Indiana, stealing the ball right there at midcourt, going down for the two-handed dunk, just kind of showing that his game is elevating.
Yeah.
But you got to look at the Brandon Cooks catch, non-catch interception. That's a play that's going to cause a rule change in the offseason. I promise you.
Mike Griffith, what about our team of the week?
Yeah, I don't often do it, but got to stay local. And I don't know if Georgia basketball's ever been anybody's team of the week, but when you lose in overtime on a last-second bucket and a 13-game home win streak, and you're able to bounce back against a ranked Arkansas team coached by John Calipari, the two leading fast break teams in the nation, and the Dogs outrun the Hogs. Not something you expected. 14-point win, closed the game out, probably going to stay in the top 25. Keep Georgia as a team that could make the NCAA tournament for a second year in a row.
We'll have to watch Georgia, no question about that.
Yeah, big.
All right, gentlemen, great job. I will finish up with our players of the week. And Mike, Kenneth Walker III, seen here with a guy Sean Alexander.
Oh, wow.
Now they are in the same paragraph in terms of Seahawks history. Want to give a shout out to MSU superfan Mike Sterner, Doc Sterner from McLaren. You saw he took a 6 a.m. flight yesterday and raced through the airport to make a connection with 4 minutes to spare to get there, cheer the team on, and pose with Dubs, a Spartan dog and the Huskies dog. And when you look at what it meant for Michigan State in Seattle between the win over the Huskies and what Kenneth Walker did, how about the Sparty flag atop the Space Needle?
That's not AI, is it, Jack? Is that real?
No, I think that is AI.
Oh, okay.
But a lot of people talking about it. All right. For Rico Beard and Mike Griffith, Jack Ebling saying, have a great week, everyone.